Right. I want to just spend a few moments giving a few brief words of Torah. Sometimes when I read, I translate like I did for the Torah portion. Today, I kind of want to sum up what I read rather than read the entire thing. So this is a scene in the book of Judges, or Shoftim. This is a time between empires, let's say, where first we had a king over us in Egypt. That didn't work out so well. And so for 40 years, we were strictly under the sovereignty of God. And then we settled the land, and then we divided the land amongst the different tribes. And having divided, we grew, and we didn't have a sort of a centralized authority. We had what's called the time of Shoftim, the time of judges, where judges judged over Israel. There were sort of people who adjudicated disputes, but also as such, as having those leadership qualities, became military leaders when it was necessary. And we begin this passage in the time, it said, and Devora judged at this time. And there was a war between the forces of Barak and the forces of Sisera. And Barak didn't like his chances, but he knew about the wisdom of Devora, who's called not just a shofet, not just a judge, but also Neviah, a prophetess, if you will. And I often point out, just based on my agreement with Rabbi Heschel, that prophets in our imagination, in our tradition, in our literature, it's not the same as how prophets are described elsewhere. Prophets in other places and other cultures are talked about as soothsayers or seers or visionaries who saw things that were in the future. Or predicted things to come, sort of like a Nostradamus type character. Whereas Heschel, looking over the prophets in our Tanakh, sees not fortune tellers, but just very sensitive people. Not people who saw the future, but people who uniquely saw the present, saw the challenges that were insidious in that prophet's given society, and saw how things would unfold if injustices were left unchecked. And so, not for nothing, Devora is seen as a prophetess. It's not that she's going to predict the outcome. Maybe Balak is saying, "So you're visionary. Can you tell whether I'm going to win or lose? Will you help me in this way?" And so, it's possible that instead of looking into tea leaves or cloud shapes or animal entrails or however fortune tellers did their business back then, she looked at the society at large, saw how people fought with each other, saw how dominant personalities dominated, and how the common folk were undervalued in their power. And she gave him this pronouncement. She says, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to enlist my help in this endeavor?" Because maybe appealing to his pride or machismo or whatever, he says, "If you ask me to help you and you win, you won't get credit. A woman will get credit." And one may think she was talking about herself. You know, if you ask me to help, everybody's going to praise me, and then they're going to make fun of you. But that's really not how it panned out. In the sense, he fought and he prevailed and he routed the army of Sisera and this thousands of iron chariots and these things. But then at the end of it, Sisera, who fled, again, let's say, underestimated the strength of common people. And he fled into the tent of a Kenite woman, thinking, you know, this commoner isn't going to be any sort of threat to me, this big, brave general on the run as I am. But they'll certainly help me because of my station and because of their station. And so he asked for water, and this commoner in the tent, her name is Yael, says, "Water, forget about it. We have we have milk, we have chalev, we have it's whole milk, if you will, buttermilk, maybe even. So we've got the good stuff. So just relax, just rest yourself, and allow me to fetch some milk for you. While I am, you look cold. I see you shivering there. You must be. It's not because you're terrified or because you're a coward. It's because you must be cold. So I tell you what I'm going to do. Here is a very thick carpet of mine that I want you to wrap yourself in. You'll be nice and warm. It's okay. Just cover up your arms. We'll just get you nice and snug in there, and I'll feed you some of this milk. And I've had this happen. You have some dairy products. You're nice and warm. You're wrapped up. You're all tucked in and swaddled, as it were. You can't move your arms at all. What do? You fall asleep. Works on babies. So it worked on Sisera. And then once Sisera was asleep, Yael, this common person, this to Sisera must have been a nobody, slays him. And so this is the prophecy of Devora. If I help you, just know that it's not going to be you who wins this battle. It turns out that it was somebody that everybody had counted out. It was Yael who finally defeated Sisera. And what this taught to me, and what I want to get across to you today, is that the lesson of Devora was not a warning, as maybe a Barak took it, that a particularly gifted woman might upset the balance of power. But in an imbalanced age, rather, hers was merely an observation that any woman could. So, my blessing for you, my request, again, I don't like telling people what to do, but it's a suggestion. In the coming week, be sensitive to the opportunities that present themselves to you. We may feel powerless at this time of overwhelming fright, whether it's from the state of economy, the broad economy, our own home economics, as my mom used to teach. We may feel overwhelmed. We may feel powerless. We may look to the leaders like Beshalach. We may even look to Devora to solve our problems for us, but learn from Devora. Watch for your own opportunities, because any of us can make a huge difference. And it doesn't have to be a grand sweeping gesture. Yael didn't have to leave her tent to go to battle. She didn't need songs. She didn't need tapestries created about her. She did get a song. She just saw her moment and did her part, not for praise, but for her people. We never know what opportunities might appear before us to turn the tide of evil. Except when we do. We know small things that we could do. Now, again, hate to dwell on this, but this is the time we're in. You can do a small thing like wearing a mask when you go out. You can do a small thing like taking advantage of a vaccination, or if you have, helping other people find where to give a vaccination. You can do a small thing like being patient with a world that is slowly getting back on its feet. The lesson of Devora, the lesson of Yael, is that the least of us is powerful. And you might ask, even you? And I'll answer, especially you. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us at PJTC.